I'm Thad Brown. That's Carl Jones. We are getting you ready for Bills camp, going position by position. Today we're talking about the Bills cornerback, and we're also going to play everybody's favorite game, yes, no, kinda. We begin with the strength at corner. And I think the strength here, people think corner, well, it's Trey White. No. Don't forget, you got to play nickel in this league a lot, and the Bills have one of the best nickel corners in Taron Johnson. So I think the strength of this group is the elite stars. You've got two guys back there where you know that spot is locked down, or at least you think so, assuming Trey White is back from his injury all the way, which in year two, he should be, year two of the rehab process. So that's a huge thing to be able to say, we have two spots in an important position, a vital position, a high leverage position, where there aren't many teams in the league that have one guy better, let alone two in the same position group. So Carl, how much of a big deal is it for the Bills to have this amount of strength? How much can they build a season on it? Will they be able to? Yes, no, kinda.
Yes, capital Y-E-S. When we talk about premium positions in the NFL, quarterback's obviously one, then getting to the quarterback is second. I would argue, not because of my background, corner is second. I mean, it's third.
But like corner in Division I played at Syracuse. So just so you know what the background is.
That is most doubtedly third in my opinion. Sorry about you wide receivers. So if you have two guys, not one, but two of those guys who can play at that elite level, that is a plus. I mean, we've seen Taron Johnson affect the game in so many different ways. Last year, he was phenomenal, outside, inside. Sometimes he thinks he's a middle linebacker. Sometimes he thinks he's a corner. I don't know. I just love watching him play. And then Trey White, as we've seen in the past, if he can get back to the all-pro level, there's nothing like having one of those guys where you say, hey, you guys play 10 on 10. We're over here. We're just going to talk about our day and all that good type of stuff. So those two guys at that premium position, there's nothing better than having that.
All right, well, the weakness, I think, is pretty easy by process of elimination. It's the other starting spot, that second corner. Now, the good news is for the Bills is that of all the options, there's no one, it's not like a linebacker. We talked about that in a different video. Please click on it, by the way. But when you think about what the Bills are going to do at middle linebacker, Dorian Williams is one of the main options. The guy's never played in the league. That situation doesn't exist at corner because you've got Dane Jackson and Kyer Elam, Christian Benford. All of these guys not only have played, but have significant playing time. Dane Jackson has 22 starts. Both Elam and Benford played 2/3 of the snaps in their rookie year. So you're not going to send someone totally green and has no idea what to do out there at corner. That being said, are any of them going to be any good? You know, I think I like Dane Jackson. I think he's solid. I don't know if he's got that extra gear. Kyer Elam is a first-round pick, size, speed-wide. He's got all the measurables that should make him an elite player, but we're not quite sure if he's there yet. So is this weakness a big deal? Can it potentially submarine this season? Yes, no, kinda.
I would say kinda, for the reason you just alluded to. Dane Jackson maybe doesn't have that elite gear, but we've seen him be able to hold his own against a who's who. I mean, Chiefs, Bengals, he's held his own. Kyer Elam, once again, his floor, not so much, but we saw against the Dolphins game where those last two drives helped them pack their bags back to South Florida. And then Christian Benford, in the spot minutes that we saw, he dealt with a hand injury that kind of messed up his playing time a little bit, but he was solid out there. Having said that, it's nothing like having another guy out there. Two lockdowns is a little asking for is asking for a lot. Having said that, though, if you can give me another guy who's competent, B+, B on that side of the ball, be great. But man, the range is a lot between those guys. So I would say kinda.
Yeah. I think B+ potential is there for sure, but the likelihood of it probably is low. Now, the X factor here will stay right at that second spot, I think, has got to be Elam, because this is a guy who, again, as a first rounder, he's, the only 6-foot+ guy in that secondary. He's got great speed. I mean, all the physical skills were there, but we talked about it all last year. He's kind of a round peg or a square peg in a round hole when it comes to this defense, and you saw it on the field. All throughout the season, his play was dotted by what seemed like a guy who was out of position, maybe a little bit uncertain where to be. End of the year better, but even in that Patriots game, end of the regular season, there were things that you and I both thought he was making mistakes on. So what the Bills get out of Elam is very much an X factor. Will his season and how well he improves and progresses, is that a big deal to how the Bills season as a whole goes? Yes, no, kinda.
Yes. And you look around the NFL right now, especially the younger corners, and I'm not comparing him to these guys, but when you just look at the height, weight, speed, Tariq Woolen out there in Seattle, obviously the guy down in New Jersey and Sauce Gardner, Patrick Surtain out there in Denver, three of the best corners in the league, but they all have ridiculous wingspans. They're tall, they can run. Kyer Elam is similar in that regard. He's obviously very tall. He ran 4.3 at the combine, long as well. If he can give you just a little bit of that, that changes your entire trajectory of how you can play defense, especially now that helps out some of the deficiencies you might have at Mike linebacker. It might be able to help out that pass rush that might not get home in 3 seconds, but they can buy you a little bit more time. So if he's able to play to that level, especially with his measurables that can't be taught, I can't teach you to be fat, teach you to be tall. I can't teach you to run a 4.3. You either have that or you don't. And he's one of the lucky guys who does. If he can reach his potential, that's a scary sight with 2.7 and 2.4 on both sides.
Well, especially because 2.7 is not a guy that has those elite measurables. He does everything else superbly, but when it comes to, just flat out size and speed, that's not his game. So if you put Elam on the other side who can have those qualities, it almost feels like they, mesh very nicely at the 2 corner spots. All right, you're all ready to go for corner when the Bills begin training camp at St. John Fisher. He's Carl, I'm Thad. Thanks for watching. Please click on something else here at RochesterFirst.com.